Let's head to the NDC headquarters, where we understand the party leadership has approved the flag bearer's choice of running mate. Former Education Minister Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman now has the backing of the party's National Executive Committee and will be partnering John Dramani Mahama into the 2020 elections. Sami Jemfi has been addressing the media. Listen.
Consult us on his choice of running mates for the 2020 general elections. And that is in line with the constitution of the party, like I've already said. The consultation has taken place. Earlier, he had consulted members of the Council of Elders of the party who had given their support for his choice of running mates. At the next meeting we just had, there's been a unanimous approval of the National Executive Committee of the choice of running mate by the flag bearer. And so I can tell you that the running mate of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for the 2020 general election is Professor Naana Agyeman. That choice has been approved unanimously by the party.
What does she bring to the table?
A statement.
Well, earlier we gauged the mood of the public on who they thought was fit to be running mate for John Dramani Mahama. Earlier, so many names had come up, including Professor Butchie and Alex Mould and others who were going to be nominated as running mate. Let's listen to what the public had to say.
You know, honest, sincere, matured Professor Naana Agyeman will deliver victory for the NDC in the coming
What does she bring to the table?
I am telling you that
whoever that is chosen to partner JM will be somebody that can, in his absence, hold the fort, do everything possible so that at the end of the day, when that person who is chosen today, and then the president of a tenure of office is over, that person can fit well in his shoes and work assiduously and to the betterment of this nation.
A lot of names have come up. Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman is not an exception. We've seen her credentials. We've seen the kind of work she has done with UCC. We've seen the kind of work she has done with the Education Ministry. We've seen all these things. But my question that I keep asking my own people is that Ghana, are we ready for a female vice president? If so, I'm not saying she's not qualified. She's more than qualified to occupy that position as the first female vice president of a country like Ghana. But as a country, Ghana, are we ready? Looking at the people who are involved, looking at the four names that have come on board, I am personally rooting for Dr. Nimoy Thompson.
Members of the NDC, we expect somebody that is competent enough to add to the candidature of our flag bearer, that is John Dramani Mahama. So we left to us, we don't care whoever is chosen. All we want to see or hear or know about is the competence level of the running mate. We expect somebody that will be a very good economist, because normally we have the vice president who is the chairperson for the economic management team, and we want somebody that has that background.
And still on your election headquarters, we'll take you live to the NDC headquarters shortly. But here is a news desk report capturing persons believed to be front runners in the race.
Long before the governing NPP selected its presidential candidate, John Mahama had been given the nod to lead the NDC in the 2020 polls. But the NPP would be the first to announce its complete ticket when President Akufo-Addo named Dr. Bawumia as his running mate.
My choice of running mate for the fourth time the excellent, hard-working Vice President, Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia. With your endorsement, the party will complete its presidential ticket, a feat that appears to elude some of our opponents. We have no such difficulty.
The NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, is reported to have held a series of meetings in the last few weeks to settle on his running mate.
I appreciate many characteristics about leaders generally, but three interwoven strands stand out. The first is keeping the vision in constant view.
Former Education Minister, Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman, is reported to be a front-runner.
My experience working closely with His Excellency John Mahama has led me to really respect these characteristics about him. As a result, I have come to appreciate him as a leader of humility and integrity.
The others are economist Dr. Nimoy Thompson, who previously headed the NDPC.
The cedi is an inherently weak currency, and I compare that to three other currencies, the Naira, the shilling of Kenya, and the South African rand.
The others are Dr. Kobena Dufo, Professor Kwesi Botwe, Alex Segbefia, Alex Mode, and others. The opposition party would certainly be looking at picking a candidate who can boost the party's drive to win the 2024.
Head of Political Desk at JoyNews, Evans Mensah, joins me with more on this. And of course, you may be asking what this means for the NDC. And I put that straight to you, Evans. What does this mean for the NDC?
That is assuming that it's true that they've picked Naana Opuko-Agyeman. I would say it is still unconfirmed until the party formally announces this. But if indeed that they have chosen her as in John Mahama has, and the party has agreed that the Prof should be the running mate, it will be a major gamble. It's a major gamble going into an election such as this because of, for me, I say, what is the single most important reason why the NDC is running for the 2020 election? So that they win elections.
Definitely.
So then you ask a follow-up question. Which ticket will be best suited to winning the elections? John Mahama is settled. And so if you're going to compliment John Mahama, the question is, who best to compliment John Mahama so the party wins elections? Now, to answer that question about whether Naana Opuko-Agyeman, Prof, is the best person in this field of individuals who are vying for this particular role, is she the best person to help John Mahama and the NDC win the 2020 elections? To answer that question, you need to go back to 2016 and ask and analyze why the NDC lost the elections. The NDC lost the elections primarily, we know, based on the results, that a chunk of the traditional voters who show up for them on December to vote for them didn't show up. They didn't vote for them. For apathetic, they were apathetic towards the NDC going out to vote, or they were not galvanized enough. The base wasn't galvanized enough. And so they lost the election because historically, from 1992 to 2016, I mean, until before 2016, all the elections before then, the NDC had come into the game with almost a guaranteed 5 million votes. That didn't happen in 2016. So the key question to ask going forward, if that is your analysis, and again, Professor Kwesi Botwe's report when he went around the country touring and speaking to delegates showed that the grassroots in 2016, the NDC base, the traditional base, were not as galvanized. They were disenchanted, they were disillusioned, and so a lot of them didn't turn out to vote. So coming to 2020, you want a ticket that could galvanize that base. Considering that John Mahama is unchanged, you definitely need somebody who will complement him and bring that galvanized feel to the NDC and get the base to the polls. The question is whether Jane can do that.
But some say the fact that she's a woman would do the magic. You don't think so?
The fact that is a woman, unfortunately, will not do the magic because she's a woman. But the factors that the NDC is based, that's why I want to start. I'm not saying that that is the only criteria for the NDC to win or prosecute a successful election. For me, it is the most important factor to consider. But there are others. But I want to focus. I'll come to the others. Focus on that for a while. The fact that she's a woman, the base, they don't care about that, right? It don't matter if they think that she cannot govern it. Is she known to the base? Is she somebody that you will consider if you're an NDC foot soldier who had toiled and been in the trenches for a while? Would you say, Prof, Opuko-Agyeman has paid her dues to the party? Is it somebody that you could say had been there and stood and sweated and toiled for the party? These two questions will tell you that people will not look at her and think immediately that this is a person who we identify with, who we could say had paid her real dues for the party. The fact that she's a woman will count for the 51% of the population, majority who are women, right? Yeah. Even that, it's not automatic that because we are 51% of the population who are women, they will automatically vote for her because
But don't also forget the conversation about the fact that we want a lot of women to be on the political field and also participate. Let me bring in Parker Wilson, who is live at the NDC headquarters. And Parker, can you confirm to us the nomination of former Education Minister Jane Naana Opuko-Agyeman as the running mates for John Mahama?
That the party has accepted the nomination of Jane Naana Opuko-Agyeman as the running mate to partner former President John Dramani Mahama into the December polls. And so the former president left here a while ago. The National Communications Officer of the party, Sami Jemfi, addressed the media briefly, just telling us that the National Executive Committee has accepted the nomination and that very soon the party will issue an official statement and let us know the decision behind the acceptance of Jane Naana Opuko-Agyeman as the running mate. George Ado is the national youth organizer of the party. Let me just get a quick word from him briefly. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. We know that your party has accepted the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Professor Jane Naana Opuko-Agyeman. Big question is, what does she bring on board as a running mate?
Integrity and dignity to the office of the number 2. Her integrity is impeccable. Her dignity and what she carries, the air around her. She's an achiever. She's the first female vice chancellor in this country. She was very successful as Minister of Education. We saw the kind of transformation she brought to the education ministry. Today, if free SH is possible, it's because of the numerous infrastructure she put across this country. That is how come today free SHS has become possible. She cuts teacher absenteeism. There's one area nobody seems to be paying attention to, but one of the key trump card Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman worked on. And also, we are a social democratic party. This is the time for us to establish those credentials. Our key partners are women. And women form about 60% of our total population. We've not just picked a woman, we've picked a woman with an impeccable academic record. A woman who is the first woman to become vice chancellor in this country. A woman who has achieved something. A woman who is transformational. And we all saw the transformations she brought to the education ministry. I can assure you that she is the one to do the trick for the NDC. And I can assure you that the Ghanaian youth, the Ghanaian woman is going to rally around this woman so that she restores dignity back to the office of the Vice President.
Your critics say that clearly this is no match for the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Very charismatic, very enthusiastic. He has a lot of verve when he's speaking, understands the economic issue. And for you to choose a running mate who perhaps can't match Dr. Bawumia is a no-no for the NDC.
Unfortunately, Bawumia has not been our yardstick because we don't regard him and all the credentials attributed to him doesn't speak to the facts on the ground. As we speak today, what is the state of the Ghanaian economy? We don't eat credentials. With all the credentials that Bawumia came around with, What has he been able to achieve? Nothing. What is the state of the Ghanaian economy? Bawumia is not the yardstick. We did not choose our running mate based on Mahmoud Bawumia, because for us in the NDC, Mahmoud Bawumia is nothing to write home of.
And is your running mate very charismatic? Because Ghanaians need enthusiastic and charismatic people. I remember when you chose your running mate, the late Mr. Arthur. I mean, people raised concerns about him being slow talker and doesn't have any charisma.
Mr. Arthur won the elections with President Mahama in 2012. Remember that. President Mahama is the candidate on the ballot. Charismatic does not translate into effectiveness. Madam Naana Opuko-Agyeman is charismatic in her own words. She transformed UCC. She brought a lot of transformation to the education ministry. I can assure you that she is what the NDC wants. She is what we need, and she's the lady we are taking back to the Flagstaff.
And you are convinced that partnering John Dramani Mahama would advance the electoral fortune?
Mind you, John Mahama himself is a brand. What Professor Jane is bringing on board is that dignity and integrity that she's bringing to the presidency. And that is a partnership that will take the NDC where we want to get to.
Thank you very much. Jodo Payado is the national youth organizer of the opposition NDC, and very confident. Of course, I heard Sam George earlier, and he's not here. Sam George is a member of parliament for Ningo Pram. And even before the party came to announce to us that they have accepted the nomination of the running mate, he was very confident that, I mean, the party would accept the nomination of Naana Opuko-Agyeman as the running mate. Honorable, first of all, I mean, many concerns have been raised about your running mate not being charismatic, doesn't have the verve, and also not bringing much on the table as a former vice chancellor, of course, a former education minister. For you, what is she bringing on board?
That's a very myopic position for anybody to take. The office of vice president is not one of a motivational speaker that you need charisma. The office of vice president is one that is supposed to deliver on the visions of the flag bearer. And Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman brings a set of skills that include honesty, integrity, and delivering on tasks that have been given to her. She's an achiever. Those are qualities that have been missing in the office of the vice president since the 7th of January 2017. I mean, someone rightly said that we are bringing the office of the vice president we are taking it away from the national comedy of jokes to the Flagstaff House, where it's going to be serious business. Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman is bringing back some respect to the office of vice president when, God willing, she takes office on 7th of January 2021. Her track record as vice chancellor of University of Cape Coast, her track record as a lecturer, her track record as the chair of several institutions, including Graphic Group, her track record as Minister for Education is what she's bringing to that job. A track record of achievement, a track record of delivering. Dr. Bawumia cannot be the yardstick. I find it disgusting, to say the least, when people want to say that this is going to be a contest between she and Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia is not fit to lace her shoes. Dr. Bawumia has failed. He's been given 4 years to serve. He's failed so much that his own government and his own president have passed a vote of no confidence in him. His primary duty as head of the economic management team was to manage the depreciation of the city. He came and bragged on your network when he was given a 100-day opportunity to say that he had arrested the dollar and handed the keys over to the IGP. Well, today the dollar has broken jail and is dancing a zonto on his bald head. A forex management committee has been set up, a 44-member committee, and he didn't even qualify to make selection. What is the cedi today against the dollar as against when he made that comment? The man has failed. So you cannot compare someone who's failed so classically and has engaged in jocular politics and is the butt of many jokes when it comes to dishonesty in this country, and compare such a person to a woman of integrity, a woman of proven track record, as Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman. She's coming to salvage the integrity and image of that office. I mean,
and there are those who are saying that the NDC clearly wants to play the gender card. I mean, was there a factor, in considering the nomination of the running mate?
Why? Did anybody stop the MPP from appointing a woman? President Akufo-Addo does not believe in women empowerment. He had an opportunity to appoint Hawa Yakubu, the late. What did he do? He chickened out. He could not stand for women. He backed down upon the pressure from his own party, and that tells you the character of the man. When he went recently to the women conference in was it Canada or so, you heard his comments. He became the butt of international jokes, where he had to be schooled by a gender activist on what it is that the role of women is. He does not believe that women are ready today. President Mahama believes that the time for women is now, and if he is putting his mouth and his money where his heart is, do you blame us for that? Should we wait for President Akufo-Addo or any other political leader to come to believe in the capacity of women. We believe that this is the time for women and young people. Look, and the NDC is a trailblazing party. We gave youth and young people the opportunity way before the NPP did. The NPP has followed suit. They've learned from us. Now we are blazing another trail with women. Tomorrow they will follow suit. But we are always trailblazers.
And finally, for me, we picked up information that some of the executive and the Council of Elders were opposing the nomination, and that she wouldn't enjoy the needed support from the core grassroots members. I mean, for you, what's your view on that?
I'm challenging you or anybody who is peddling that falsehood to name one member of the Council of Elders who was opposed to her candidature. Look, there was supposed to be a meeting of the Council of Elders. Our Council of Elders are made up of people mostly in their 70s and even some in their 80s. Given the situation that we are under, the COVID situation, it will be heartless for anyone to seek to bring such elderly statesmen together and congregate them at such a time. And so the national executive, together with the flag bearer, took a sensible position that the flag bearer should take advantage of technology. He spoke to the chairman of the Council of State, the acting chairman of the Council of Elders, Alhaji Mahama Idrisu, who agreed that technology should be employed. The flag bearer spoke with every single member of the Council of Elders, and they gave their overwhelming support, with the exception of 4 people. 4 people who he could not reach on phone. Okay. He could not reach on phone because their phones were either off or they did not pick at the time he called. He reported back to the chairman of the Council of Elders, who also did his verification and gave his blessings. So they did not meet because of the peculiar situations we are in. But there was a virtual meeting, there was a virtual approval given by all the members, all but 4 of the members, and those 4 members, it was not that they disapproved, but simply because they could not be reached at the time they were called. And so I'm challenging anybody who is peddling this falsehood, this wicked lie from the pit of hell, to establish to us who on the Council of Elders disagreed, or on the National Executive disagreed with the decision. I am a member of NEC. I just sat in the NEC meeting. The motion to accept the nomination as made by the flag bearer was moved by the indefatigable minority leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and was seconded by the Central Regional Women Organizer. And it was a unanimous acceptance of his position and of his nomination, and she enjoys the full support of the rank and file of the party.
Now, it appears your ticket is set. I mean, John Mahama is set. What next should we expect from the NDC going forward, now that you have it running?
We had the People's Flag Bearer. Now, we have almost finished with the People's Manifesto is completed. It's been handed over to the flag bearer. Now you have the People's...
When are you launching the manifesto?
You have the People's Running Mate. The People's Manifesto will be launched in a couple of weeks. Before the end of August, I am confident that the People's Manifesto will be launched, and that will open and commence the People's Campaign. Already the People's Campaign has started with the numbers of people who have come out to register. They are doing this on the back of the advice that Otumfo Osei Tutu II, the Asante Hene, gave. He said, Yedi Ebufu ni ekom betu abano. We will use anger and hunger at the failings of this government to vote them out.
Thank you very much. Sam George is a member of parliament for Ningo Pram Pram there. And as you can see, quite a number of party supporters here. And a lot of them are excited and are throwing their weight behind the running mate, Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman, to partner John Dramani Mahama into the December poll. So it's official that the NDC now has a running mate, and it's in the person of Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman. So we are still monitoring the situation. The executive, the chairman, the general secretary are still locked up in the meeting. I'm told that they'll wrap up very soon, and then, of course, we'll get a word or two from them when they are done.
It's my colleague, Paka Wilson, at the NDC headquarters with some details of Professor Opuko-Agyeman being nominated as running mate for the NDC. Head of Political Desk for JoyNews, Evans Mensah, is still here with me. But Evans, aside her political acumen, which people say may not match that of Dr. Bawumia, she wields lots of experience, especially in education. Some say that could better the fortunes of the NDC. You just heard some members of the party describe her as her integrity is intact. That could also help her in the 2020 elections.
First of all, I must say I'm shocked by the decision, and it's for good reason that there are definitely people within the Executive Council and the Council of Elders who may also have concerns, and I'm sure within the NDC people may have concerns with the decision, as we heard earlier. But it is John Mahama's decision. He's made it. He will win or lose based on this decision he's made. Now, a lot of calculations would have gone in, particularly what you said. This is what I call in politics, this is policy over politics. Now, the question is, going into an election, do you need politics over politics, policy over politics, or politics over policy? My argument is you need politics over policy. The policy becomes important when you win elections. The politics will win you the elections. If you lose elections, the policy doesn't matter.
Many say the dynamics are changing, Evans.
The middle class voters like me and you and etc. who like academics, we decide elections, true, in Ghana, right? But the NDC has a bigger problem going into 2020. And I insist, the biggest problem they have is to get their 1 million back. Naana Opuko-Agyeman, she hasn't got the political acumen to galvanize and to campaign and to do all the things that you need, the ground game you need. Remember, the NDC is distinguished from the MPP. One of the key distinguishing features between the two is the NDC's grassroots masses appeal. The MPP is seen as more elitist, middle class people like them, etc. But the NDC's traditional core base has always been the masses, right? That is how they've won the elections often. So if you choose, then John Mahama, we know him. He's already done it, right? He's lost an election first as an incumbent president who lost an election. So going into an election such as this, for a party which DNA is already defined, we know how they win election. You have two people there, one of them, their own masses rejected in 2016. The key question you want to ask is, this is a John Mahama election, no doubt. It's a John Mahama who is going to be on the ballot, not Professor Naana Opuko-Agyeman. I get that. But the masses, the NDC foot soldiers and followers who did not show up to vote, rejected John Mahama in 2016. Key question to ask is, 4 years on, have they forgiven him to the point where they are willing now to come back with energy, vigor, and invigorated to vote for him in their masses? It's a key unknown. We need to find out. That's one. I concede that the performance of the current government could also be a motivation factor, right?
Yep.
But definitely, when you appoint or nominate or choose a running mate, he must complement you. He must give you something you didn't have before. What he didn't have before.
She has education experience.
I'm saying to you that the masses, the NDC's masses, do they really, would they look and say, look, I'm looking at somebody who is academic, who is, is that what they want?
I mean, the point is,
that is a key question to ask.
With the NPP, they made use of Dr. Bawumia's economic powers.
Bawumia lost 2 elections. He lost 2 elections.
He did.
He lost 2008. He lost 2012. He won 2016. But he was a brilliant economist. But he lost 2 elections. So competence alone doesn't cut it. If NDC is willing to lose 1 election and use that to build hair, that's fine. But that's not the game they are in. They are in this to win 2020. This is somebody you point if you're looking at a long game. But with 5 months on election, I really doubt if Naana Opuko-Agyeman is the best for this ticket right now. Now, it brings up the question, is it that, was she John Mahama's first choice? It's a question that will be asked.
Yeah.
Is it that the others who probably John Mahama was looking at really were not interested?
The names like Professor Kwesi Boche, Alex Mo,
etc. I mean, even Alex Mo will fall in the same category. I mean, he also hasn't got that, ground game gravitas.
Okay.
So, I mean, but Kwesi Boche and others. Some say Kwesi Boche is an old guard, but do not underestimate the work he did with the Kwesi Boche report. He went down there and interacted with the grassroots and did the report. He reintroduced himself to. But the question is whether he wanted it, right? I mean, so John Mahama may like him, but if he doesn't want it, he doesn't want it. And so is that what played in favor of Naana Opuko-Agyeman? I don't know, but this is my final point on this. Politics is about decisions. It's about choices.
Yeah.
He's made his choice. I say this is a major gamble. Thing with gamble, I don't know if you're a gambling woman. Thing with gambling is, If you fail spectacularly. But if you win, you also win handsomely. And December 7 will tell us. But all the evidence show now that this is a risk that the NDC will only live to discover its true outcome on December 8th or 9th or whatever it is.
We look forward to that. The Evans Mensah is head of political desk. But let's look at who Professor Jane Opuko-Agyeman is. She was born on November 22, 1951 in Cape Coast, Ghana. Naana Jane Opuko-Agyeman attended Anglican Girls Secondary School at Okoforidua and a Presby Girls School. So then had her secondary education at the Wesley Girls High School in Cape Coast from 1964 to 1971. She completed her education, bachelor's in education in English and French at the University of Cape Coast in 1977 and obtained her master's and doctorate degrees from the York University in Toronto, Ontario, Canada in 1980 and in 1986, respectively. Professor Opuko-Agyeman taught and worked at the University of Cape Coast starting in 1986. She has held various academic positions, including head of the Department of English, Dean of Faculty of Art, Warden of Addition Hall, Valco Trust Fund, Postgraduate Hostel, and Dean of School of Graduate Studies and Research from 1997. She's held the position of Academic Director of the School of International Training in the History and Cultures of the African Diaspora. From 2008 to 2012, she was the university's Vice Chancellor. In March 2007, she was one of 5 scholars selected to deliver presentations during the 200th anniversary of the abolition of slavery at the United Nations headquarters in New York City. In October 2009, she was elected Ghana's representative to the Executive Board of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Ahead of the 2012 general elections, Jane Opuko-Agyeman moderated a debate with Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. Between February 2013 and January 2017, she served as Education Minister of Ghana. On 26 October 2018, she became the Chancellor of the Women's University in Africa, located in Zimbabwe. And she has served on many local and international boards and committees, such as the Center for Democratic Governance, Ghana, the editorial board of the Harriet Tubman series on the African diaspora, World Press International USA, the Africa Initiative in Canada, and the College of Physicians and Surgeons as eminent citizen. And that is the woman behind John Mahama.